how's it going, everyone? This is Dean Vaughn out here at the Dean Vaughn Music Podcast Show in Las Vegas. How's it going? It's Valentine's weekend and Super Bowl weekend all at the same time. And I have a special guest for you today. His name is Mark Boals. He is a lead vocalist for the heavy metal band Red Raven. Mark has done a lot of stuff out there. He's played with Yngwie Malmsteen, Ted Nugent, Dokken, Ronnie James Dio, the Dio Disciples, and Foundry was one of his big bands, and we'll be showing some images and videos later on in the videos. So I want to welcome Mark Boals to the Dean Vaughn Music Podcast Show here in Las Vegas. He's been waiting in the green room, and we're hoping to bring him in any minute now. Got going on? Connect Mark Boals up here. He's coming in on the podcast show, Mr. Mark Boals. And I think we need to unmute that video. How's it going, Mark?
Good. Where is it?
There you are. There you are. I see you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, man. How's it going?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Good, man. I'm just sitting here, trying to figure all this stuff out. I've got so many buttons and, lighting and all this other crap,
Okay.
But
it sounds like you're in a big warehouse or something.
Does it? Let me turn off that reverb. How about now? One.
Now you got an echo, but that's okay. You can have some effects. That's okay.
How about now?
Now you're in the room with me. Okay.
Okay. That's what I was looking for, because I'm running through my Rack 11, and it's got it automatically throws this reverb at me.
That's all right.
So anyway, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. And after talking with Holly, I wanted to interview you and talk more about your career. You've done a lot in music. I know you used to sing. You sang with Yngwie Malmsteen. And you did some stuff with Dokken and Ted Nugent and Savoy Brown and former members of Ronnie James Dio, the Dio Disciples.
Right.
Just kind of running through some of your early history, I guess. And I said we'd be talking about your latest heavy metal project, Red Raven.
Uh-huh.
And I've been watching the videos. Wow, man. Awesome job on the videos and vocals. Absolutely.
Thanks.
And yeah, and I want to show the video during this music podcast show.
Okay.
And so we'll probably talk a little bit about how you got started with that video and what went into it and all that stuff.
Sure.
And it was Lay It on the Line, I believe we were looking at. But I want to go back. Even further. I love to go back and wonder what happened. How did you get in here? You're in Ohio, Youngstown, Ohio.
Right.
And I think there was a population of 60,000 people in that city.
Well, actually, it was 150,000 when I grew up.
Was it?
Closed the steel mills and everything shut down because everything revolved around the steel industry. So.
Gotcha. So very industrial city.
It was in the 70s, in the late 70s. The EPA came in and shut them down because they were all built in early, turn of the century, like 1910, 1920.
Gotcha.
There was massive coal smoke everywhere. All the houses around the steel mills were all brown. They started out white and they were brown. It was really bad. But that was the economy, and they made the steel for all the cars. All that steel went to Detroit, and those cars were like bulletproof because that steel was amazing.
Oh, I'll bet.
Now cars are plastic. But
first of all, let's go back. You were raised in Ohio, and I read somewhere where your mom played piano.
Right.
And your dad played the trumpet.
Yes, yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
And he was friends with Hank Williams?
Yes, Hank Williams Sr. Well, his buddies were friends with Hank, and they used to go see him play down in Wheeling, West Virginia all the time, which was just across the Ohio River there. And they would go down to Grand Ole Opry, too, occasionally.
Okay.
They were hanging with him all the time.
And how did you get started singing heavy metal? Now it says you played jazz at some point.
Yeah, when I started playing bass, I was really into jazz fusion. You know, I saw Stanley Clarke with Return to Forever Band with Chick Corea on PBS.
Okay.
on TV, and I just said, yeah, I want to do that. That's fucking amazing. I want to do that. And like, I didn't realize that that wasn't a cool thing to do around with all the kids around where I was from, because they were like, what the heck is that? I was like slowing down the records, you know, putting it on. The old record players used to go down to 16 speed. So you took the 33 RPM, you take it half speed.
Right.
And I got all the notes, and I was playing it note for note. I didn't know what I was playing, but I could do it. And but I found out that wasn't very cool. So I found out that rock was cool. So I said, that's easy.
I heard you were quite the bass player.
Yeah, I still am. I still do play bass. Yeah. And
also play guitar as well.
Yeah, not as well as I'm not as fluent on that as I'm not a virtuoso on guitar, but I can play, you know, old school rock stuff.
That's cool. So you're into now. You talked about Deep Purple. I was watching an interview with you, and you were watching Ian Gillan, Deep Purple, and it kind of excited you about the screaming vocal type thing.
Yeah, you know, when I don't know how old I was, but I discovered in the newspaper the Columbia Record Club, where you could get 12 records for a penny, you know, and then you had to sign up. You're supposed to buy one every month for another year or two.
Right.
Kid, I said, no, I just want the 12 records for a penny. And so I picked out a bunch of stuff, and that's how really I got exposed to that Deep Purple, Jethro Tull, Black Sabbath, all those bands. Because I got their albums, you know, for a penny. So,
what a deal.
I didn't really know, you know, it was before Deep Purple got really famous. You know, I listened to the In Rock album, and, you know, they were obscure.
Right.
In the beginning, and so was Black Sabbath. I mean, FM radio was not even, you know, that mainstream at all. It was like, you know, these old hippie dudes smoking weed and playing whatever they wanted to on the radio.
It also talks about you listening to AM radio, because I guess there was heavy rock on that.
Well, that's all there was when I was a real little kid. I mean, I'm aging myself a lot.
Right.
Free FM, and at the early AM days, at least where I grew up, they played every genre. There was no you know, like country station, rock station, Motown station. They just played it all. You'd hear Tom Jones, and then you would hear Creedence Clearwater, and then you would hear James Brown, and then you would hear Marvin Gaye, and then, you know, it was just, and then you would hear Michael Jackson, the Jackson 5. It was everything mixed up.
It was awesome. So
hard rock stuff. They didn't play the really hard rock stuff. I mean, they played the Who, and, you know, it was all good stuff. But when I was in school, I had a little earpiece, and I had my little AM radio inside of my desk, and I would the teacher. I'm listening to music all the time.
Right.
And then the teacher would call me and say, Mark, what? The music was more important than anything for me. I just loved it so much.
Isn't that funny? When I was in high school, I spent most of my time playing gigs. I used to go to the same school Tommy Lee went to. His name was Tom Bass, and we were in the marching band together. Tom played tritoms, and I played snare drum. And we left high school at around, I think, the 10th or 11th grade, and we went to continuation. But anyway, we didn't want to be at school. We were out playing gigs and shit. He was in US 101, and I was in Danger, I think, at the time, Aftershock or Danger.
That's great.
Yeah. So I'm also a musician, you know, and I love to do the podcast show because I love to hear from other musicians like yourself, and you've done so much. You know, I got lost. I was trying to get some information on you. I saw your Foundry band, awesome band. I've been watching video clips and stuff with Foundry, and then of course Red Raven, and then of course I, you know, kind of brushed over the rest of your. I mean, you got a huge Wikipedia page. I don't know how accurate that is, but it goes on forever. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's done more than most, you know, heavy metal rock stars in the world. You've done it. You've done it all. It looks like, but you're still doing it, which is awesome.
Not yet. I still have a lot more to do. So
absolutely.
Not at all yet.
Now, tell me more about. Okay, so I want to stay back a little bit. You did some work with Dokken. And I think you said you were playing bass with Dokken.
Yeah, well, I started out with Don just doing some acoustic shows, just me and him. We both play acoustic guitar and play and sing Dokken songs. And we got to be really good friends and hung out a lot. He's a really cool guy, really nice, super
Is
nice.
he?
And yeah, I don't know if the reputation he has, because he's had some falling out with George Lynch and some of the other guys in the band. But there's always two sides to every story. But anyway,
Sure.
he treats me really good. He still does. He called me to do a gig with them last year when the bass player got COVID. So I went out and played a show in Chicago with them.
Cool.
And I also sang backgrounds. They have a new album, but I don't think it's out yet. Recorded last year. I did all the backgrounds on that album, and then the album before that, I did all the backgrounds.
I'll have to keep an eye out for it. I was a big heavy metal, hard rock fan. I loved Dokken, Rat, all the big hair bands, and I was in the glam era, and I was watching an interview, and this guy was reviewing your what was it? You were in Foundry or something. He was comparing you to Rat, and I jumped in. I said, well, he's way better than Stephen Pearson will ever be as a vocalist. I was comparing you to Klaus Meine. I was Bruce Dickinson.
I have worked with Uli Jon Roth too. I did an album with Uli Jon Roth from the Scorpions, so I know I know Klaus very well.
Oh,
I
cool.
probably came close at one point to being in the Scorpions, because he's had a couple of points where he lost his voice completely and didn't think it was ever going to come back.
Wow.
Those guys are really cool. I recorded the album with Uli in his castle in Germany.
Wow.
I recorded everything there with an orchestra in the ballroom.
How awesome! How awesome that must have been.
Yeah, and so that's another facet and cool people that I've worked with.
So interesting story. I read you were about I don't know how old you were. You went to L.A., went to Hollywood, and you within about 6 to 8 months you were playing at like Oakland Stadium.
Yes, that's true.
And how did you move so fast through Hollywood? I mean, you must have really stuck out.
I don't know. I was trying for a while. I didn't. I mean, I went there broke because I went through a bad divorce.
Sorry.
I went as far away as I could. That was as far away from Ohio as I could get. And on a $99 People's Express plane ticket one way. I had like $60 in my pocket. I mean, typical story. I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard, not knowing anybody, carrying 2 bass guitars in a suitcase, and not knowing anything. Luckily, one of my friends from Ohio knew a couple girls that had moved out there, and they put me up in their apartment. But I didn't have a car or anything, so I was calling people for auditions and stuff.
Yeah.
And they probably didn't have a car. They were like, well, call us when you get a car. I'm like, okay. That sucked kind of, but I didn't understand LA was fucking 60 miles across,
Oh, yeah. If you're right there on Santa Monica or Hollywood or Sunset, you could get around on foot pretty well, But that's about it.
These girls lived in the valley. They lived in Van Nuys. So
Okay.
it was like another world.
Gotcha. Oh, I grew up here, in Southern California, and I played the Hollywood club scene for, 15 years. And I was in a band called Aftershock and Danger. We used to play with everybody. Anybody was anybody. It was the big. Everybody was a rock star back then. You'd walk down the street and there's, there's Mick Jagger. There's Entwistle. They were all there. And even the lookalikes were there. And I'd hang down at the Rainbow. Have you ever been down there at the Rainbow?
Of course. In the 80s, I was there every night that I wasn't on tour. Because I got free drinks there. They had after I got with Malmsteen. Not before Malmsteen, I didn't. After that, it was a local hangout. So I'd be hanging out with sometimes with David Lee Roth and his crazy crap.
Right.
Really, they were really nice to me. And Vince Neil, I'd sit and drink all night with Vince Neil, and it was just it was wall to wall people. You were there. If you were there in the 80s.
Oh my God. I'll bet you I bumped into you. I know I bumped into you somewhere. I had to. Now you're just a slight bit older than me, but I mean I was always hanging out with the older crowd, and I was hanging out down at the Roxy, and I'd take me and Bill Gazzari. We would walk down Sunset there. He'd say, "Come on, let's go down, and I want you to meet my friends." And he introduced me to John Entwistle one night.
Mhm.
We sat down and had Eddie Van Halen was sitting at the table, John Entwistle, and some of the other rock buddies. And I was a young kid. I was, young, blonde hair down to my knees, trying to make it in the music business like everyone else. And I was in danger at the time. But man, good time. Hollywood. I don't know about you, but it's not the same. It's just not the same.
It's not even close to any resemblance of what it used to be. No.
Yeah. And you remember the Rainbow, man? It was just packed every night, packed. And I used to love to hang out down there. I remember I dropped a bottle right at the door. I was trying to get in, and it rolled all the way down that little driveway. They go, "You're not getting in here tonight, man." They go, "I was all fucked up."
Well, and it was funny because the tables would all be full of people, and then there would be this constant circle of people walking,
right,
trying to see who they could see. Say, hey, that's what's his name?
Yeah. There's Mark Boals.
One night I was there, and David Letterman was walking around, and Paul Schaefer was next to him. And David Letterman.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Oh, and Paul Schaefer's like 4 feet tall. I'm exaggerating.
Oh yeah.
Paul Schaefer's like looking around like this, and David Letterman's smiling.
I think Letterman's kind of tall, isn't he?
Yeah, Letterman was. Yeah, he could see over the crowd. Poor Paul couldn't see anything.
So tell me a little bit. Now, I didn't want to go your entire history because we'd be here for like 2 days. But it talks about you playing, and you were upset because you didn't end up on Ted Nugent's album. Something to that effect. Can you enlighten me a little more about that? Playing with Ted Nugent?
Well, I hooked up with Ted in Texas at the Texas Jam because I was playing with Sally Brown with Kim Simmons, who just passed away. God bless him.
Oh, God bless.
He was a legendary guitar player who influenced a lot of American guitarists, such as Ted. And I mean, there was famous guys. Billy Gibbons would come out all the time and see us.
Nice. Love Billy.
All the guys who had anything to do with the blues roots, were big Kim Simmons fans. So anyway, he came out and saw me in Texas and asked me to join the band. And I'm like, okay, sounds cool. Why not? Because I was a big early Ted Nugent music fan. I loved his
Stranglehold, yeah.
Even earlier than that,
How did you meet Ted? Oh, I'm sorry, I might have missed that.
Well, after I met him at the show, he came out and saw me play.
Okay, that's
And
right.
and we talked, and then I said, nothing's gonna come of this. And then he got my address. He sent me a letter, and then he got my phone number. He called me at home and invited me to come to New York and do the album. He'd just been dropped from Epic, and he got picked up by Atlantic. Well, I was up in New York, and little did I know, Atlantic already had a singer that they wanted to use on the album, and his name was Brian Howe. And
I know Brian Howe, yeah.
The producer's name was Ashley Howe. I don't know if there was a relation there, but anyway, they had already decided they didn't want me, and I don't know, it was really kind of upsetting because I thought I had the gig. I mean, I basically had a verbal contract, and I didn't even know what that meant back then, but...
Brian Howe, did he play with Bad English, some of the guys? Brian Howe, or Bad Company?
He was in Bad Company for a while.
That's right.
When Paul Rogers went solo.
That's right.
But anyway, I ended up doing a tour with them anyway, with him singing, and it was he'd never been in a band before, and he didn't know what he was doing. And
oh wow!
Hard time, and it was really frustrating for me. And then I came home and from that tour, and my wife was living with a couple of bikers, and she spent all the money that I had made on the tour. That's when it was really shit hitting the fan every direction if possible, and I just said, I'm getting out of here. I was really disappointed because I thought LA I pictured it as something a lot different than what it actually was. I didn't know you would go to these famous places and you put your elbow on the bar and a cockroach would run up your arm. I'm talking about the Troubadour. The Troubadour was full of cockroaches, and so was the whiskey. Those places were dumps.
They were dumps. Yeah, you see them in the daylight, and you're like, holy crap, shit everywhere. Cigarette butts, bubble gum, crap laying on the floor.
Yeah. And I was like, this is where Led Zeppelin played, and Boals, and Alice Cooper, and Elton John. I'm like, I'm in bizarro world, I thought, you know.
Yeah. So I'm looking at a picture. I think you're in there somewhere. Let me get away.
Yes, I am. That's me with the sunglasses on.
Is that you with the sunglasses? Is that the band you toured with Yngwie?
That's one of the tours. That's the 1996 Inspiration Tour.
Okay. I was just going. You have
That's Barry Dunaway in the middle. The blonde guy, he's the bass player, plays with the 38 Special now. And then there's Yngwie, and then there's Tommy Aldridge, who of course played with everybody from Ozzy to Whitesnake to you name it. You know, Pat Travis.
That's right. Yeah, we don't want to say Yngwie. I'll just sit in front of him. And I heard a little bit about, you weren't real happy with some of the arrangements with the Yngwie project, and I'm sure it's no secret. But I mean, to sum it all up in probably a paragraph, that experience playing with him and how it ended. How do you feel?
Well, it was disappointing, basically, when you add it all together. I mean, I had a lot of high points and low points. The highs were really high and the lows were really low. So it kind of evened out to be just a disappointment. In the beginning, it was his manager who stole all the money. We had a $6.8 million deal with PolyGram for 3 records in 1985, and the manager stole like $4.6 million right off the top.
Holy moly! Wow.
He was stealing all the tour support. We were getting tour support from PolyGram, and the money was just going nowhere. And Yngwie didn't pay any attention because, he kept Yngwie's pockets. He kept $1,000 in his pocket at all times, plus a gram of blow, and plus a rented Jaguar that he told him he gave it to. He said, "This is my gift. It was rented."
So he was kind of full of shit.
That was the biggest crook I've ever seen.
Yeah,
and I thought things were better after the guy, finally they got rid of him a few years later, and I came back, but it just somebody else took over. Somebody from PolyGram took over, and he got fired from PolyGram because of the Yngwie deal. And he took over as manager, and he was a crook too. And I even had him manage me for a while, and he ripped me off for $100,000.
Oh my God, I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't think much of him. I did watch a couple interviews. I've never been an Yngwie fan.
Well, he's just a big spoiled brat. He's like he's never aged past like 7th grade. Although he's extremely super talented, I don't take anything away from his playing. He plays fantastic. However, nobody ever hears how good he really plays because he always plays like this character that he thinks he's supposed to be. When we've sat alone together in his house and he just plays stuff, it's totally amazing. But those things nobody ever hears.
Well, okay, so moving on. Foundry was one of your big projects, right?
Yeah, I worked with them for a few years. We work with, what was his name, Colin Britton, the guy who produces and co-writes with Papa Roach and lots of other stuff.
Okay.
And it's modern stuff, but I ended up stepping away from it because just things were nothing against the guys. They're all
sure.
Going the direction I wanted it to go.
Well, that's cool.
Very, very slowly. Everything. They had the guy who runs the band had his own idea of a business model and how things should work, and it just was taking forever. So.
Gotcha. You released a couple singles with them, correct?
Oh yeah, more than a couple. I don't know how many. But original singles there was at least 4 or 5.
Okay.
We did some covers also. So.
That's what I get for going to Wikipedia. So March 2000. I'm just going to read it like it says. You have the #1 vocalist prize in the Japanese music magazine Burn. And Young Guitar.
That is correct, as you can see right here.
There it is. Oh, show that baby. Love it.
Okay. Yeah, this is a little trophy.
I love it, man. It's awesome. It's you. So at the end of the year, the same day, it said your solo CD entitled Ring of Fire and Yngwie Malmsteen's War to the End All Wars with Boals on vocals were released. However, after many years of musical magic and friendship, the team of Malmsteen and Boals had decided to move in different directions.
Well, yeah, that was one of the many times that I quit. And I actually, it's a little bit of touring with them after that. But it never, there was always something, he always pulled some kind of shenanigans. That just, you know, pissed me off. But, I still try to be friends with him, but his manager now, who is his wife, doesn't allow him. Well, he was an alcoholic, and he's not allowed to be around anybody who drinks. Not that I'm a drinker at all, but he's not allowed to be around any of his old friends. He's not even allowed to talk to anybody. So, yeah, I mean, even the Swedish guys, they're not allowed to talk to him. Anders the Johansson brothers, the original members of his band that I worked with in other projects too.
Well, he better not come over here because we do a lot of drinking.
Well, he would have been dead if he didn't quit drinking. He was drinking 40 beers a day for years. I mean, that's average. So sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. But on average, 40. So that's like 2 cases.
I drink a lot of beer, but not that much.
No, I drink like 1 or 2. That's enough for me.
Yeah, I was talking to your manager, and she said you don't drink a whole lot.
No,
That's good.
Because, but I'm fine. I enjoy, believe me, I enjoy a good beer, a good glass of wine. I even enjoy a nice glass of fine whiskey, but I keep it to 1 or 2. That's enough for me.
Good for you, man. Good for you, because I have my bout with booze and that kind of day. And another thing comes up. Now, I'm looking at my notes. The Renaissance Rock Orchestra. I got approached by Greg Fox when I first came out to Las Vegas about a year ago. Because I'm from LA, and I'm out here renting a house in Henderson, Nevada. And Greg Fox said, "Hey, well, come on down and audition and all this stuff." And I go, "Well, what do you need?" He goes, "Well, I need a bass player." I go, "Well, I don't play bass." He goes, "I'll pay you $20 an hour to come out and play bass." I go, "Well, I play bass, but I mean, I don't think I'm the bass player that you want." And I looked at the lineup, and there you are. You're front and center. You're the lead singer of the Renaissance Rock Orchestra. Can you tell me a little bit?
It started out with a lot of singers and a lot of famous guys in the band. He's kind of condensed it now to just one singer. Actually, there'll probably be a girl singer too, but he's kind of focus has changed from being like this massive show to making it just a really great show with condensing the whole thing.
Gotcha.
So I'm still working with him. We're going to release a single here next month.
Now Greg he plays guitar, correct?
No, he's keyboardist.
I'm sorry, keyboardist. I got him mixed up. Greg Fox, great guy, man. He's a hell of a keyboardist.
Yeah, the last show we did in Vegas, we had Tony Franklin on bass, Brian Tichy on drums. We had 2 guitar players. We had what was his name? Chris. I can't think of his name now. He plays with Hell Yeah. Christian Brady on guitar, and another guy. And we have done gigs with Robin McCauley on singer. It was me and Robin and a girl singer before, but now it's just me. As Robin he's such a sweetheart. He's a great singer, but he said, I'm too old for this. You need somebody younger. So I am a little bit younger than him, but not that much.
That's awesome. So Mark, you've done a video called Lay It on the Line with Red Raven. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a new band I'm doing some stuff with, and it's kind of a throwback to the 80s rock style, the Sunset Boulevard, Hollywood rock sound that nobody's really doing anymore, and a lot of people miss that stuff. So I thought it'd be fun to do a band that does only that. And so that's the first song we did. Lay It on the Line. That's the first video we did, and there's a lot more to come.
That's awesome.
If there's a mess, we'll fix it today. But you're not gonna run this power play. What's your problem? Can't you see the distance is over? Throw it away, day after day. I'm moving on, I'm ending your games. No more second tries. I'm gonna set you free. Am I losing you, or are you losing me?
That was awesome, Mark, man. That was an awesome video. It took me back to the 80s. Wow, totally.
Well, that's the idea. Just where music was fun, and people, weren't, worried about sounding like everybody else.
Oh yeah, and your voice is so reminiscent of the 80s, but still current. Like I said, I put you in that category, the powerful vocal, like Dickinson and Klaus Meine, and like I said, I was listening. Yeah, I just love your voice.
Thank you. Yeah, those guys are influences on me, as well as Ronnie James Dio and Ian Gillan, and, the great rock singers of the era. And I'm just well preserved, I think. I think it's all those preservatives they put in the food now.
I got you. Now that's not from drinking, correct? I'm well
I tried
preserved.
that. Yeah.
So some of your influences in rock and roll, and I was reading a little bit about when you started in jazz. You were listening to Chick Corea.
Mm-hmm.
He's an American jazz composer, pianist, keyboardist, and all that. So what got you into jazz? I just wanted to kind of reflect back on what interests you about jazz.
Well, it just seemed, when I was listening to, I didn't even know about, the history of jazz or traditional jazz. I got exposed to jazz fusion, which was, my first exposure to shredding. Everybody was shredding. I mean, they didn't call it shredding then because it wasn't heavy metal, it was jazz.
Okay, that's right.
The bass player was Stanley Clarke, he was shredding, Al Di Meola was shredding, the drummer was shredding, and Chick Corea was shredding on the keyboard. Now, this stuff is really extreme. It just got me going. I'm like, yeah, that's just.
Now, were you a Rush fan?
Oh yeah, I love Rush.
Progressive fusion,
in the United States. They played in Youngstown. First without Neil Peart, with the original drummer, and I wasn't really impressed. But the second time they came through town, they had Neil Peart, and man, was it a different band.
Wow.
It was freaking amazing. And then the third time they came through, all three times were at this small theater. It held about 2,500 people in Youngstown, downtown Youngstown, and they had shows there. And the third time they came through, they were arena size, playing in a theater. So it was just overkill. It was just, your hair blew back. It was so the funniest thing I ever heard in my life.
I love Rush, man. When they came out with Tom Sawyer, I think the world found out about Rush.
Yeah.
They started going back and getting commercial so people could understand them a little better, right? And it's funny because I heard when they came out with that, they had over 10 albums out. And if you weren't into Rush, you didn't know of Rush.
Oh, I loved them from the beginning, but they got increasingly better with each.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah. Yeah, what a great drummer. What a great what an entertaining drummer.
Oh my God, just amazing.
Yeah.
They had to squeeze him into that drum set. I don't know how he got in there. No, I tried to figure it out one day. I think he crawled in through the back. It's really awesome to talk to you, man. I know we got about an hour, I guess, on this today. And I wanted to kind of get your feelings about your new project. I want to find out what you're doing now. And I'm going to be putting some links in the podcast to let people know where to go to find your latest and current gigs you got going on, videos, songs, all that. And so maybe give me a little synopsis or an overview of what you're doing now. You're in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still doing it like I'm doing it. I'm actually trying to put together a band again. It's like that.
Right.
You get the itch, right? And
Yeah.
I want to know more about what you're thinking, where you're going, and how can people come and see you and all that stuff.
Well, there's not much going on here in town, but I've been doing some rock cruises, playing bass with a band called Phoenix to make some money, and I have done I've done lots of recordings for European bands and stuff. I have a band called Ring of Fire. That band had a new album come out in November on Frontiers.
Okay.
I had a band that came out last year. The second album, this is the fifth or sixth album for Ring of Fire.
Okay.
But for a long 20-year period. But I had an album come out in May, I think, of last year with a band called Shining Black.
Okay.
That's with me. It's a project with me and Olaf Thorsen, who's the guitar player in Labyrinth.
Okay.
A European band. And I did some work with Mirka Rantanen from Finland for his Circus of Rock. And I'm going to Finland in May and do some shows there. And I'm probably going to do some other solo shows in Sweden and Italy and probably Spain. And also, I'm working on an album in Japan with a guy named Kelly Simon, who's a really good friend of mine. I did some shows with him in 2019 in Japan, in cities in Japan. He's kind of known as the Yngwie guy in Japan. He can do all that stuff really well. But we're working on an album together and probably do some shows. I'll probably do 2 runs in Japan, one with Ring of Fire and one with Kelly Simon later.
You're a busy artist.
And I'm trying to get this Red Raven going, so maybe do something in the United States.
Have you ever taken a break since going back to your 1986? I'm just briefly looking at it. Have you ever taken a break and just said, man, I need a break?
Oh, after I quit Yngwie the first time, I started working in the Warner Brothers studios there in the scoring stage, doing singing, which it's called what was it called? It wasn't called singing. It was called voice.
Were you like a staff writer?
No, but I came this close to being a staff singer.
Staff singer, okay.
You have to the catch with that is, I mean, it's really, really good money. At least it was back then. It's really good money. But you have to be on call all the time. You cannot. The first time you're not available, they go down the list to the next week.
Okay. I heard about that. I wanted to be a staff writer because I've written a lot of songs, and I wanted to go down there and write songs. That's a tough gig too. I mean, you got to know somebody. You got to be.
Oh yeah. You have to get invited into that whole world, and then you have to stay there forever.
Yeah.
And all the guys, like,
chain you to the wall.
I was singing in this little glass booth, and there was like 40 musicians. It was, they had all the guys for all the different types of music they needed. They didn't have a full orchestra, but they had a whole full rank of musicians because they recorded like 80 pieces of music a day, and those guys make really a lot of money because you get royalties on that.
Okay, cool. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, because through after SAG, you get paid every time those TV shows or those movies play. You get paid again, and it goes way down. It's residuals.
Sure.
But they all told me, "Don't do this. You don't want to do this. Don't do this. We're trapped here. We can't get out." Because it makes a lot of money. It doesn't matter. Don't do it.
In a Russian prison somewhere. They won't let you loose. But I always wanted to do movie scores, things like that. I'm a keyboard player, myself. Mainly a keyboard player. And I have my studio. I'm in my studio right now, but I'm playing green screen. I've got all my keyboards to my left here. I got my Marshall stacked behind me. I got my rack in front of me. I'll sit here and I play everything. I don't play any wind instruments, but I play bass, I sing, and keyboards. And I've been doing all kinds of crazy stuff: hip hop, rap, new wave, and dance mixes. My nephew's a rapper, so I go and I played jazz before. So but I'm a rock and roll musician. But I was telling my nephew, man, you gotta stay open. You gotta keep your brain open. And you may drift this way, you might drift this way, and find something you really like. But don't close yourself down, to the rap world,
Right.
Keep your thoughts open, You might be a pop writer, you might do a film score, you might do something different.
I have a cousin who's a very famous. He's doing a lot of scores for famous big movies, Tom Cruise movies. He did the Straight Outta Compton movie. He works. He has his own studio on the MGM lot, and he's just doing that all the time. He's super rich. He's been doing that. He went to UCLA Film School and he interned for somebody and he got his foot in the door and that was it. And he's doing great.
Wow, that's awesome. Like studio players, I've been in the recording studio quite a bit, and I remember bringing in studio drummers when somebody couldn't get a part, and for whatever reason, the producer said, "Hey, we're gonna have to bring in a drummer." And here I'm playing with this guy, Billy Green. I was in No Stranger with Joe Reggiatori from Featherstitch. Billy Green passed away, God bless him. But one of the best drummers I've ever heard. And he's up there pounding out this song. It's very syncopated, just pounding. And the producer says, "Man, I'm not feeling it." And he brought in another drummer. And Billy had to take his drums off the stage and go home for the day. And they brought up this guy, and he put up some sheet music, and he goes, "Can I just go through it once?" And we went through the song, and then he played it, and we recorded it. Blew me away. I'm like, how did he learn that song in 10 minutes? And so I had mad respect for studio players and people who just go in and do it.
Wow, you'd be surprised. A lot of albums from the 80s, nobody knows who's really playing on them.
Right. I heard a story with Poison where they kicked CeCe out of the studio and brought in another guitar player.
Well, even Yngwie, after he had his car wreck, they had the guy playing on the album he did with Joe Lynn Turner. They brought in another guy. He came to the studio and saw the guy playing and freaked out.
Oh no!
He was having a hard time playing after his car wreck.
Oh no!
But I know some of those players from. I'm not going to name names, but for one example, when I was actually, let's see, was it 86 or I think it was 86. I went down. Nugent was doing a new album at Conway Studio in Hollywood, and at the same time, Motley Crue was in there doing the Girls, Girls, Girls album.
Right.
And I went down to hang out with Ted, and after he finished up for the day, the engineer said, "Hey, we're gonna need to do some backgrounds for this Motley Crue stuff." Uli Jon Roth was there too, and he got credit on the album. I didn't, because they said, "Hey, you guys want to sing something? Just sing, girls, girls, girls." We'll fly it in everywhere. And that was me and Dave Amato. So
oh, really? No shit. Girls, girls, girls.
No Motley Crue guys around, and I don't think those guys played on that album at all. I mean, I don't.
Right.
But I know for a fact. I want to name a band, but there's another really famous band who I know the bass player for. I was at the Village Recorder and hanging out with some friends, and I saw this guy, the bass player from AC/DC, walking in. He was a friend of mine because we toured with them for like 200 shows.
Yeah, I heard about that.
"What are you doing here?" He said, "Shh, shh." I said, "Come on, you got to tell me who it is. What album are you doing?" He said, "Well, it's somebody really famous." And he told me, and I've kept it a secret, but it's funny because I know the actual bass player in the famous band, and he doesn't know that he didn't play on it.
You know, there's. It's funny because you're right. We play on other people's records, but we can't say anything about it.
Right.
It's funny. I was at the NAMM show, right? It was a few years ago, And you know, you got, especially at the NAMM show where everybody's on the spotlight. All your endorsements are there, and you know Billy Sheehan, right?
Yeah.
So Billy Sheehan is standing there with Ted Nugent. They're standing together.
Mm-hmm.
I go, oh shit, man, I gotta go talk to these guys, right? I see Billy, and somebody comes up and threw a guitar at Billy Sheehan. It wasn't one of his guitars he's supposed to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
And he threw it right back. He goes, don't ever throw me a guitar again. Because I could get in a lot of trouble for holding that freaking guitar right now. And the guy literally threw it. He threw it at him, and he caught it, and he threw it right back. And, you know, the industry's very, very temperamental that way, right? You know, especially someone like Billy, you know, high-profile bass player, probably got major endorsements.
I know him from when he started out from Talus. He had a band in Buffalo, New York, which was just up the street from Ohio, from Youngstown. So
okay.
My local cover band used to open for his band Talus, so I know him from way, way, way back.
Nice guy.
Yeah, super nice. Yeah, he's a great guy. But he used to practice hours and hours and hours and hours a day. And the whole time we were opening for him, because before we go on, I'd see him backstage, playing. And we'd come off stage, and he'd still be sitting there playing, warming up. I mean, he'd warm up for like 2 hours before they'd go on. I mean,
he's got so much energy. You know, it shows on stage. You can imagine him leaving the stage and still playing his bass guitar.
Yeah, but he makes it look like there's no work involved, but he works really hard at it.
He's playing it like Eddie Van Halen when he gets up and he starts doing all that shit.
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, he should just be a guitar player, but he's doing his own thing. I mean, he's shredding on the bass, that's all.
So I want to play another video for the audience for She Makes It Hard. And I just want to blow that song and just crank it up. And I think the people are going to want to hear it. And keep in mind that there's going to be a video produced in the near future for that song. But do you mind if I play that song right now?
Oh, great. Let's hear it.
Okay, I'm going to roll. She Makes It Hard by Red Raven.
She makes the earth move, my heart skips a beat. Poetry in motion, it's all so complete.
Man, that song kicked some ass. Mark, so what were you thinking when you wrote that song?
I don't know. I was off in the '80s, La La Land somewhere. My mind was floating in space.
Well, how'd you come up with the name? I mean, it's got a kind of a dual meaning, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I came up with it. One of the other guys I came up with the name. They were throwing around a bunch of lyric ideas. I think all I held on to was that title, and
I love the title because she can make it really hard, and she can make it really hard.
There's a double meaning, you know. A lot of '80s bands used to do. So
she makes my life miserable, and she also makes it hard.
Right. Can be good or bad. Yeah.
I like that. I wish I had thought of it. But yeah, crunching song, man, and I had to play it. So so now that the audience has heard it, be on the lookout for that song, and I'm sure you'll have it available online. Are you? And I visited your website. Is there anything that people can buy on the website that you want to talk about?
Not right now. I'm getting ready to start a Patreon page where I'll have a store and things available. I'm digging through all of my cassette tapes that I've had, old demos. There's a lot of, because I get a lot of requests for people. Hey, you have any versions of these? There's like a song I did on a movie, on a Kevin Bacon movie, and it's
Kevin Bacon.
I have demos for that, and people are always asking me to release that stuff. So I'm gonna make a Patreon page where I can have, where people can just go there and they can hear all kinds of weird stuff and see all kinds of weird stuff that I have laying around that I thought nobody wanted, but apparently people do want it.
Well, they want it now because you're famous. You know, they want a piece of Mark Boals. Right. And you know, I was telling.
I'm going to put a store on the website. I'm so lazy when it comes to those kind of things. I just like to do music, you know.
I got you, man. I got you. And you know, I'm an IT guy. That's what I do on my side job. So I love to work with the websites, but even at the level that I want to do it, it still takes time.
Yeah.
The marketing and the Facebook and the streaming and the videos and and taking care of the website, making sure the store is working, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, I keep thinking I can do everything on my own because I've had a recording studio in LA. I can record anything. I can engineer, mix. I can play almost any instrument well enough to do great demos at least.
Sure.
But when it comes to the internet, it's kind of out of my league. I probably need to hire somebody to help me out.
I'll help you if you want.
All right.
But you know, I understand, and I feel sometimes like I'm a dinosaur, you know, because all these young kids are, you know, they're born and they're computer geniuses by the time they're 10, 12 years old. You know, it's just amazing. And when I was, you know, naturally when we were born and got into technology, it wasn't until way later, and it wasn't like it is today. And so especially in the recording business, right? You know, being able to sit down and record an album by yourself.
Yeah, well, I was, you know, in the beginning I was totally against digital, and I was against all this plugins and everything that everybody uses now, but they sound so freaking good now. I've been selling off piece by piece all of my outboard gear because I don't need it anymore.
Right. Okay.
Because well, I use mostly Universal Audio plugins because they just sound they're incredibly. You can't tell the difference.
That's awesome.
And what they put out, and they use a lot of different companies. So I'm not endorsed by them or anything, but.
Now, do you have endorsements now, or are you pretty much an open?
I need some endorsements. I haven't been to NAMM for a while, and I don't keep in touch with all those people as companies. They keep changing anyway.
Right.
I do have some friends at EBS in Sweden, which is they make bass equipment, and I've gotten some gear from them. I have to say kudos to them. They make fantastic bass gear. They make amps, they make pedals. Billy Sheen has his signature pedal with them.
Okay.
So EBS, yeah, I have EBS, and that's it.
EBS?
Yeah.
That's awesome. You know, and I'm not endorsed by anybody. I'd love to be endorsed by Sure. You know, I played on 1W chord keyboard. Through my entire career, I go to the NAMM show and I say, hey, I'm trying to get someone to back me. I play an Ovation 12-string.
Uh-huh.
I love the sound of that guitar through the Roland jazz chorus.
Oh yeah.
Love that guitar. And I play a little Ibanez in my picks. Those are the only two guitars I own with like 5 acoustics. And when I go in the studio, I plug it in, I make it sound good.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't need 20 guitars. Besides, I don't even consider myself a guitar player. Someone says, "Will you play it?"
Yeah, I mean, I could endorse some microphones, but I mean, I could use maybe an endorsement for live for maybe Shure or Sennheiser. I use Sennheiser, but Shure is pretty much. I'm thinking of going back to Shure. And the microphones I use in the studio, I don't use anything new. It's all really old stuff. It sounds fantastic, and it's handmade. And
yeah, and they sound awesome. Shure's made great products since the beginning. I have the SM58 Beta.
Yeah, my main microphone is a U47 Neumann, which is super old, and I mean, if you have to buy the tube for it, it's $5,000 for the tube. So, and they don't make them anymore, so that's why they're so expensive. The tube, it's a military metal tube.
Oh my gosh! I bet it sounds awesome with your voice on it.
It does, and I've used every microphone you can think of. In fact, when I did the trilogy album with Yngwie, which is the first album I did in a huge studio with unlimited budget and unlimited cocaine, by the way, too. They put every vintage mic up and had me sing through all of them because the engineer, who was Ricky Delana, Eddie Delana's brother, Eddie's working with Michael Jackson.
Oh wow! Okay.
He was kind of mean to me, and he's like, "Well, what microphone do you record with?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He said, "Well, what albums have you done before?" I said, "None." "What are you doing here then?" I said, "No, I'm here to make an album." And so he had me sing through this microphone and this one and this one and this one and this one. And he said, "Oh, you're distorting it. You're distorting it. You're singing too loud. You're singing wrong."
God.
And that started my hate relationship with engineers.
Well, they can be a pain in the ass, you know.
Finally, for that album, they finally used it. They found a C12, a vintage C12, the real one.
Do you remember when we crossed over to the digital world? Now, mark me if I'm wrong. My sound engineer at the time for Danger brought in a DAT machine. Remember the DATs?
Yeah.
And it wasn't very long where the DATs kind of everything went to CD and digital. But
Right.
was DAT the first time we started crossing over to digital on recording a live concert?
I believe so. Yeah.
Remember the big cassette-looking tape? It was kind of a boxy-looking tape.
Well, that tape was kind of small. It was smaller than a cassette.
Right. It was like a small miniature cassette.
Yeah.
And I remember it was such a pain in the ass. You know, my engineer, he's great engineer, but he got a hold of this new DAT machine. He brought it to the Sunset Club in Sierra Madre, California, and I did a gig there. It was really cool, and I still have some recordings that I put out recently that were done on that DAT machine. And that was the very beginning of digital. I talked to my nephew about it because I never even heard of that.
Right. Well, I still have a DAT machine in my studio here, just in case I'm digging out any of the old DAT masters that I have.
Okay.
I haven't turned it on for, I don't know, 10 years maybe. I don't know if it works anymore.
Right. I mean, how long was DAT really popular? Was it like 5 years? Or was it longer than that?
Well, it was longer than that, I think, because you'd make safety copies of masters that way.
That's right.
But the actual digital masters, that they used in the mastering houses, they were using VHS tapes, or a beta.
That's right.
For the masters, for the digital masters.
Oh yeah, right. So do they still have mastering houses today? I mean, we would still master. Okay.
Yes, but I think they're losing a lot of business because again the plugins are taking over. And I mean you have all this software now that kind of has AI and it kind of does all the work for you. But as a result, that's why all the bands sound the same.
Right.
They're all using the same.
I was just going to say that. What do you think about some of the AI? I'm not a big fan of it because it's gonna change things I don't want to change.
Yeah, it's taking all the decisions out of our hands, and the decisions are what's part of the creativity.
Yeah, like all of a sudden the vocals go flat, like what happened there, probably flatten the top of the EQ chain, and all of a sudden I've lost my, whatever I just did there. If it was a scream or whatever, everything got kind of flat. And it's, that was just my opinion on that. I ran one of my songs, so it came back. I'm not gonna use this. And now I'm looking for a good plug-in. Is there anything that's worthwhile for me to look for?
There's a lot of new stuff that I haven't even tried yet. But what you mean for mastering?
Yeah, like if I want to mess around with harmonies, I want to take the vocal tracks and really mesh them together. I'm looking for something that can help me do that.
Well, if you want to line up the tracks and make them like, there's vocal line. Vocal line works for that. It lines up the actual waveforms. It lines them up and makes you can have a loose harmony.
Okay. It's called vocal line.
Vocal line. Yeah, vocal line.
I'm gonna look. Okay.
Callign. Vocal line.
Okay, I'm gonna be looking for them because that's where my struggle's at right now. I want these big giant, like I was listening to your album, the backups are huge. They just sound so perfect.
Yeah, I do. That's piece of cake for me. I'm really good at
that. For you it is, yeah. So how long have you been recording professionally in your life? I mean, how many years?
Well, I don't know if professional or not, but I recorded myself on my dad's tape recorder when I was 5, but that doesn't count.
Well, okay, so you became a professional musician at 5.
But the first album I ever made was in 1986 with Yngwie. It was a trilogy album. It's the first album I made. So
that's huge. So yeah, 86. You were born in what, 50, 59, 58?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah,
somewhere around it. We won't talk about age.
It sounds so foreign to me. I don't relate to age really.
Neither do I.
I want to. It's just I look at how the numbers of my age, and it doesn't make sense to me. So.
Well, you look young. I'd put you about 35, maybe 40.
Oh no, but I could probably take 10 years off.
I'm 59. I'm getting old. But I've been rocking a long time. I was 14 years old when I played Hollywood, and I cut my first single in 1979.
Wow.
Yeah, it was called "High as a Kite" and "Under My Skin" and "High as a Kite."
Hey, you've been doing it longer than me then.
well, yeah, but it was just this cheesy little
single. I actually recorded stuff with Sadway Brown, but it never made on an album. I recorded stuff in Cleveland with Kim Simmons, now that I think of it. And that was in like 1982. So that was way before Yngwie. And I was supposed to do an album with Ted Nugent in 1984, but that didn't come about.
I didn't finish that story. What happened with that, with you and Ted Nugent on that?
Well, like I said, the producer Ashley Howe had Brian Howe already.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay.
In the studio, and Ted finally came to me. They had me sing for the producer. We went to SIR and played live, and I was supposed to play bass and sing, but the producer brought in Billy Squire's rhythm section for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I got to sing with them. They had them all at SIR, and I sang live. Like 3 or 4 songs, and
yeah, I didn't mean to bring that up again.
Back to the hotel, and then Ted came to the room. He said, "I don't know, I can't do it." Well, his last 2 albums for Epic bombed big time, so
okay.
At the mercy of the label. At least that's what he was telling me.
Now I find it pretty impressive that you were able to hang out with AC/DC for 200 shows. And the interview.
That was 2 tours.
That was 2 tours, and you said it was the loudest band you've ever heard, or something like that.
On stage, I thought Yngwie was loud. The Angus guitars, they had actually the guitars they had, the amps they had mic'd up were actually under the stage in containers, so they were completely controlled. But on stage, he had walls of Marshalls, and he had double stack on either side of the stage.
Oh my God!
On 10, for monitoring. So, and it was just, and they had the whole front of the stage had a grill, and there was floor monitors all the way across.
Wow!
With this grill, and then there was floor monitors flown above. So Brian Ryan, the singer, I hung out with him a lot. We had a lot of laughs.
Ryan Johnson, yeah.
And he's like, look at this. Look what they've done to me.
He's a fun guy.
He was a pop singer before that. He was a pop singer in London.
Oh, was he a pop singer? Okay.
Yeah. He had a band called Gordy. I think Geordie or Geordie. Yeah.
I saw an interview. He's a funny guy. I watched an interview with him.
Really funny. He's super funny. I hung out with him a lot. I hung out with the bass player a lot. And that band was so nice. They're like family. They're super, super nice. Great guys.
I watched a 1-hour documentary on their behind the scenes with AC/DC, and the guitar tech did like a whole 30-minute segment on how he designs and builds Angus's guitar setup. And wow, I don't know if you've ever seen that before. And I've never even heard of this shit. And he goes, "This is why it's so loud, you know." And it's just make it fucking loud, man.
Yeah, that guy is like a little machine. And I mean, he's older than me now, and he still rocks the stage with nonstop for an entire 2-hour show at least. I mean,
it's incredible.
Nonstop. I mean, where does he get the energy for that? It's incredible.
That's how he stays nice and skinny, I guess.
Well, yeah, those guys are rather short too. I mean, I thought I was short. I think Angus is 5'0".
Is he 5?
Brian was like about 5'2" or something. They were both shorter than me, so I felt like, yeah, okay.
yeah, okay. So you're right in there. I'm a short guy too. I'm like 5'4" or something like that, 5'5".
I'm 5'7", so
okay. Well, you're taller than me. And so I heard Brian Johnson. I don't know if it was a rumor. They found him. He was like a karaoke singer, but you're saying he was in a pop band.
Yeah, he was a pop singer. Yeah.
Okay, and he just sounds so great with AC/DC.
Yeah, well, it's just like Ronnie James Dio was a doo-wop singer before he got there.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I have some 45s of him.
No kidding.
Yeah, Ronnie Dio. It's called. He was calling himself when he went solo, but he had a band called Ronnie and the Shadows or something like that. It was doo-wop music in the 60s.
Is it out there? I can hear it.
Yeah, Oh yeah, you can look it up. Yeah, look at it. It's on YouTube.
I'm gonna have to look them up, man.
Yeah. So.
Well, we're going on about an hour and 12 minutes. How you feeling over there? You got things you got to get going?
Oh yeah, I got to take my kids I got to pick up my kids from school. So
okay, so let's wrap up. Is there anything you want to say as we for the outro of the podcast show?
Well, I want everybody to check out Red Raven. That's the newest thing I have going. Make sure you check out all the other stuff I have going too, because I'm trying to survive and not get a real job. It's too late for me.
I got you.
That's why I'm opening a Patreon page too. So I hope everybody that's wants to check out a bunch of weird stuff that I've got from the closets.
The Patreon page, will that be? Do you have the URL already? The domain?
No, it's not. I haven't launched it yet.
Okay.
I've been building it. You know how you build it offline? I've been building it, and I'm probably going to launch it in another week or two.
Well, we want to get that thing going so you don't have to go work at Taco Bell. I heard that story.
Yeah.
Was that in Hollywood?
I did work in Taco Bell in Van Nuys. I didn't have a car. I didn't have a car. I could walk there from the...
Were you able to play guitar there in the back room? Just grab it.
No, but I made myself some really killer burritos.
I'll bet you did.
The girls would not let me touch their food. They said, "Couch, but don't touch our food."
Oh man, why? Why is that? So listen, so we want people to look out for what you got coming up. The Patreon page, Red Raven is hot right now, and we've showed the video during the podcast. I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And Mark, I really, really thank you for coming on the Dean Vaughn Music Podcast Show here in Vegas.
There's a lot of new music coming from Red Raven. I'm working on a lot of new stuff too for them right now.
Awesome. Will you let me know when that comes out, or I'll be on the lookout for it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey,
listen. Huh?
Thanks for having me on the show.
Man, thanks for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and I'm honored to have the chance to interview you. And good luck with your future. And if I can be of any help, please call me.
Well, thanks. Stay in touch.
I will, Mark. Thank you. Have a good day.
I live in Vegas too,
Hey, let's get together and have a drink.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, Mark, take care.
Yeah, cheers.
Take care.